You want to know why everything is so expensive? In this video, we're gonna be breaking down the top 10 reasons why prices are constantly on the rise that directly influence the citizens of the state. Hey, you are a premium experience and you're probably wondering why everything is getting more and more expensive. Well, in this video, we're gonna be going to list the top 10 reasons why prices keep going up. So sit back, relax, and let me educate you on a current state of the economy. Number 1 is imported inflation. Imported inflation is a phenomenon that occurs when an increase in the price of imports leads to an overall rise in domestic prices. It can be a drastic problem for economies heavily reliant on international trade. When the cost of imported goods increases, the price at which domestic producers can sell their goods without losing competitive advantage also rise. It's especially true for countries whose currency is in a free fall, as the local currency weakens its purchasing power to buy the same amount of imported goods. As it is often argued that inflation will go up if a country's currency continues to lose its value. Imported inflation can cause a ripple effect throughout the economy and lead to wide-reaching effects on overall growth and stability. This in turn limits producers' ability to make profits, which leads to a decrease in production levels. Lower production can eventually lead to an economic recession as fewer people have jobs and the cost of living rises. Number 2 is cost push. When the cost of production and services increases, leading to a general rise in prices for consumers, it can be caused by several factors such as an increase in raw materials cost, higher wages or taxes, or disruption to supply chains. Cost push inflation can have a wide-reaching effect on both businesses and consumers, creating a cycle of increased costs that can create an economic downturn. Businesses are the first to be affected by the cost push inflation as they face higher costs for goods and services. They need to maintain production. For instance, the unforeseen destruction of the rubber tree plantation has caused an immediate problem for the tire manufacturing industry. Cost push inflation will ensue as a result of the limited supply of rubber, pushing up the cost of production for the tire makers and consequently leading to an increase in prices within the industry. Number 3 is hoarding. Again, has a long been behavior that plays an important role in the economy. It is often seen as a way to protect businesses and consumers from unpredictable markets or to simply make a profit. But hoarding can have unintended consequences such as creating market distortions, increasing prices of goods, destabilizing prices, and damaging the overall economy. During the pandemic, many businesses adopted the strategy to hoard certain essential commodities to maximize their profits. Unfortunately, such hoarding practices have had detrimental effects on the global economy as consumers are forced to pay absorbs in prices for these commodities. In business psychology, hoarding behavior is often explained through the lens of risk aversion and the potential for greater rewards. Hoarding allows a business to control its inventory and maximize profits in periods of high demand, as it can be difficult to accurately predict how many consumers will want a certain product any given time. Number 4 is expanded money supply. Money supply, the concept of an expanded money supply, is a cornerstone of economic theory and has been studied by economists for many years, but simply it refers to the amount of money that is in circulation at any given time. When a country prints more money than its economic growth rate can handle, it can lead to decreased purchasing power. For example, if a country is printing more money than its GDP, gross domestic product, there is an excess supply of money being circulated. This can lead to prices increasing, and as a result, the purchasing power of citizens decreasing. An expanded money supply is a core economic indicator that needs to be carefully monitored and managed. It can have serious implications on the economy if it is not managed properly, so understanding its impact is key to maintaining a stable economic system. Number 5 is demand polls. Demand polls are surveys of economic activity that measure changes in the supply and demand for goods and services. Demand polls help businesses make informed decisions about profit, pricing, production levels, distribution strategies, and it provides valuable insight into market trends and can be used to forecast future economic activity. Demand polls often include questions on consumer spending, consumer confidence, and trends and price levels. By analyzing, companies can better assess their competition and competitive position in the market and adjust their offerings accordingly. Demand polls are an invaluable tool for businesses to stay informed and competitive in today's ever-changing economy. When it shows an increase in demand, companies may need to raise their prices as a result. Demand polls are a powerful tool for businesses to stay ahead of the curve and maintain a competitive edge By using, demand pulls, companies can better anticipate economic trends. Number 6 is national debt. National debt accumulates over time. The total amount of money a government owes to its creditors. The national debt can also make borrowing more expensive, a negative effect on the economy as it prevents funds from being available for other important investments. First, the government needs to finance its debt. National debt requires taxes for repayment taxes that comes from you and other citizens. This means that government could be taking away a larger part of your income, leaving you with less disposable cash. Second, taxes also increases the cost of goods and services. When taxes increase, businesses may have to raise their price to make up for the extra cost. This means that you're buying things for a higher price than before. Finally, national debt affects the exchange rate. A national debt can weaken the country's currency, making it more expensive to buy goods from overseas. This could lead to higher prices in the domestic market, further increasing your cost of living. Number 7 is changing an exchange rate. An exchange rate, the foreign exchange market is a dynamic and ever-changing space. Exchange rates between currencies can fluctuate daily, creating opportunities for investors to make profits from the changes. To understand how this works, it is important to know that exchange rates are determined by the supply and demand of one currency concerning another. If there is an increase in demand for a particular currency, its exchange rate will rise. On the other hand, if there is an abundance of that same currency on the market, the exchange rate will drop. Investors and they need to stay informed about changing exchange rates to make educated investments and potentially reap bigger profits. Investors can use different strategies to identify profitable shifting exchange rates and capitalize on them. Some of these strategies include analyzing data points such as economic indicators, political events, and news developments that could potentially affect the foreign exchange market. The foreign exchange market is a complex yet rewarding investment space. Taking the time to understand how it works and staying up to date with the changes. Number 8 is government regulation. Governmental regulation plays a fundamental role in the functioning of institutions. Law is essential for creating and enforcing them and ensuring that those who violate them are held accountable. Governments have the power to define what acceptable behavior is and can use this authority to protect citizens. For instance, governments also have the power to create incentives for businesses to innovate, invest, and create jobs by reducing taxes or providing, subsidies. Regulation can also serve to protect the environment and the public interest by instituting standards for the use of natural resources and the disposal of waste. A well-regulated economy can provide citizens with stability and security while allowing businesses to operate in an environment of trust and transparency. It's important to note that regulation is not without cost. It can impose significant burdens to businesses, reducing their efficiency, and can ensure that all members of society have access to resources and opportunities. And that's how it works. Number 9 is inflation. Inflation is an ongoing economic phenomenon whereby the prices of goods and services steadily rise over time. In inflationary times, it often means that the value of money is decreasing as the purchasing power of a currency depreciates. This can be especially damaging to people with limited income or those living based on fixed incomes, as the inflation rate is usually higher than wage increases. The most commonly accepted explanation for inflation is stationary spiral, where the rate increases and people subsequently have to spend more on these items. This in turn leads to, companies hiring less labor, cutting back production, and rising prices even further. When it gets out of control, it can lead to disastrous economic situations for entire countries like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Inflation can also affect a global reputation. A state's inflation rate is usually one of the first things investors and the economists look at when assessing the economic health, and that's how it works. Number 10 is, streak shrink IFL. The IFL trend of the IFL quantity shrink has been on the rise in recent years. Invisible fractional loss strategy. It's a very common business tactic used by, many companies. This phenomena is caused by a diversity of factors, from rising labor costs to a rapid shift in consumer preferences as manufacturers strive to reduce costs and maintain profit margins. The quantity shrink remains an increasingly common occurrence. What does IFL quantum shrink mean for a business strategy? Business must adapt their strategies to account for the IFL quantity shrink trend. It may include shifting production processes, investing in new technology, and looking for new avenues of growth. Additionally, businesses need to develop ways to reduce quantity while still maintaining quality standards. It is a milder, similar version of the price increase without proper planning and management. This way, a customer will still pay the same amount of money for the product, but they will get slightly less quantity or weight than what is stated on the package. It allows companies to avoid any potential backlash from customers. If you're new to our channel and you like such amazing content, make sure you have subscribed to our channel. You can also follow us on social media and leave us your feedback in the comments section.